Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Connected to the Web podcast. I'm your host, Joe Webb, and I'm talking to you on Friday, March 21st, 2025, a day after the first day of spring. Hope you guys all got your free Ritas, and apparently what I found out was also free Dairy Queen. So if you did not take advantage of that, there's a little tip for you. The Webb family was very excited about that and had some fun last night. Um, okay, got some good stuff to talk about today. I got some crazy information I'm going to share. It kind of ticked me off in my business, but and I might get a little flack for bringing it up, but I don't really care. It's my podcast, so hope it doesn't offend you if you listen to this. But I want to start with some family stuff. I've had a kind of a what's the word for it? A focus keeps coming into my vision. Things that keep coming back. The universe, God giving me some signs, whatever way you kind of want to interpret it. I've had a lot of just reoccurring themes lately about how life is going by so fast, and my kids are growing up so fast. And I've been kind of reflecting on that the last couple of weeks, just trying to see, what am I really thinking about? Is it me just wishing my kids didn't grow up too fast, or trying to hold on to that little bit of time left that I have with some of the older kids of mine? Or is there something else I'm kind of seeing that is worth me bringing to you guys, the audience, and then people I talk to, and I'm kind of leading towards the idea that I think I got to share some stuff with you. So I want to share something that is kind of important to me. I had a conversation with another family about just some things that they do as a family, and the context of that was how crazy the spring sports schedules are, because that is starting this week as well. And it just kind of led to, we don't have so much time together, parents going here and there, divide and conquer. And then it kind of got into the time you're trying to spend with the family. That wasn't the purpose of the conversation, but it kind of led it that way. Kind of like the purpose of my podcast is for business owners and to feature and showcase them. But we talk about a lot of things that aren't necessarily business owners. Um, and it went towards dinner and spending time together as a family for dinner. And I realized how blessed that my family and I are that we have that experience together. So just kind of want to share some ideas about that. Right now, if I had to guess, it's not 7 nights a week, maybe 4 or 5 nights out of the week. My family sits down together, all six of us, my wife and I and my 4 kids, for those of you that might not know that. And we have dinner together. And we use that time to just bond and be together. My family does say a prayer at the beginning of dinner. That might not be your thing, but it's important to us, and we do. And we rotate that as anything else in other families happen. It is sometimes a idea that is beautiful on who gets to do the blessing, and it turns into an argument. And he said, she said, and it's my turn, your turn. So we had to schedule it. So we have every night of the week, and then we have a free night because there's only six of us. I'm Fridays, by the way. So we take turns just talking about what is important to us that we say grace for and we wish blessings upon. There are some recurring themes, some sick family members. My mom's going through some tough time right now with some respiratory things. So we pray for her at nighttime. But then when that's over, we begin to eat, we have some fun, and then we just start talking. So I just kind of wanted to share that because I think that's significant. I know that based on an individual conversation I had with one family, they don't sit down at all during the week. And it was a lady, and she said, I can't remember the last time we had a dinner together with the whole family. And I mean, I wasn't like, oh my gosh, you need to do that, but I sat that idea in the back of my head and said, that sucks for that family. But it goes to a larger theme that I think I'm building unintentionally, because that's the way the road's going, for just the overall mental health of our family, our spouses, and more importantly, what we've been kind of talking about for a couple of episodes, our children. And I just think that as parents, we need to steal those moments back that are taken from our schedule, from our children's wishes, and their normal habits in the afternoon or evening. Doesn't have to be a dinner time. It could be a breakfast. It could be a lunch, obviously on the weekends because we got school, or maybe the summertime. But I just want to kind of share and kind of open this idea up to anybody listening and encourage you to purposefully have at least one meal a day, hopefully, or a week. God forbid, it has to be a month, but make it a tradition. Make it something that they know is a consistent part of what your family plan is. And I promise you that they'll look forward to it. My children look forward to sharing things that happened in their day. We have to pull it out of them sometimes, but because they're like, I don't know, and that whole thing when you talk to your family members 2 hours after Christmas morning, they opened up 20 presents, and you say, "What'd you get for Christmas?" And they're like, "I don't know." So there is that short-term memory fear from the little guys, but I think it's important and it's a great opportunity for family mental health and as a unit to be able to have those moments. Now, if you have a two working household, a two income household, those are going to be very tough to find. But I would just encourage you that you may have more of a burden as a parent to steal those moments back if you have a double income household where you're just not home for dinner. And I wouldn't have any guilt on that because you're doing what you're doing to provide for your family and God bless you and the decisions you've made. And hopefully that's working out. But I think as a parent, from the perspective of teaching these children what's important and grounding them and doing a quick mental health check in, there's a whole lot that can be learned from those conversations. There's a lot of silliness. We tell some funny things, we laugh, but something I said last night when I said something a little off color, because that tends to happen sometimes, and my 7-year-old daughter, her eyes got real big. Um, and it needs to be a safe place to bring up things. This is not going to happen the first time. If you hear this and you're like, Joe, that's a pretty good idea, I'm going to try that with my family. Or we love doing that, Joe. It's just been so long. You know what? I'm going to do it this Sunday. Temper your expectations. It's something I think you need to kind of, grow into. But I would encourage anybody listening to try to steal those moments back. And it's one thing I wanted to bring to the podcast today is to steal that moment back from Father Time. I've said in a couple posts the last few weeks that I think Father Time is the greatest thief, but we are not powerless, and I suggest you guys try to steal that time back. So, little lesson for you guys. Okay, so I definitely want to talk about something a little crazy in my business. I found out something, let's say 3 weeks ago, about my business. And it's not necessarily about numbers and interest rates and that kind of thing, although it kind of relates to it. But honestly, it just pissed me off. And it's going to make some people upset. I reset my career in December of 23 because I just had a lot of really strong thoughts about where I want to take my career and just didn't match up with the company I was at. Nothing negative to that company. I've talked about that before. I just went another direction and it didn't match their vision. No harm, no foul. I peeled away and did my own thing. It was a big risk for my career. I've had a lot of amazing things happen I never could have imagined, and I've had a lot of trials and tribulations. And one of the things I decided to do was open back up my career to creating relationships with real estate agents and other professionals to kind of create a network and a comfort that they know that I'm someone that can handle their clients. It's a tough thing. It's not easy. Number one, because they've already made those relationships and there's nothing wrong with them. So, convincing or trying to convince someone to give me a shot, understandably, if they have a wonderful relationship, that's not a door that might be open for no negative reason. They might love who I am and how I do things, but they've got a guy or a gal, and then I respect that. But I found out something that really pissed me off the other day, and I don't know who's doing it. It's none of my business, so I'm not really being accusatory. There's no specific competitor of mine that I am accusing of this because I'll never know. But I found out that mortgage companies are making relationships with real estate brokerages, all legal, nothing illegal, where they are basically having somebody in that office become an employee and then of the mortgage company in the real estate office, a real estate office employee becoming an employee of the mortgage company to be able to share the revenue. Look, on the surface, it's a cool equation. If you do some math, it's a way to generate revenue for both of them to go market new customers. And I encourage and love those ideas. I do that myself, try to be creative and come up with ways to go find new customers together. And those things aren't always free. So they cost money. And right now, it's not as busy as it was a couple years ago. So I understand that's tough. But doggone it, it pissed me off. Now, here's why. When you engage with a mortgage person, or when you engage with a real estate agent professional, there is a basic level of trust you're trying to create, unless you've known that person for years. And if you have, knowing them as a friend and trusting them as a professional is not always the same thing. And you should, ask questions that are important, right? Don't assume anything. What ticks me off is in that moment where one of the professionals is being asked for a referral from the other professional. There's no jealousy inside of my head. I encourage relationships. I create relationships like this, where it's a trusted referral source. It's a very wonderful thing to be able to provide another business owner or business professional a referral. It's a wonderful thing. I love receiving them. I love to give them. But this is different. This means that the reason you may get referred to that other professional is financially based. And that sucks. There are a lot of rules that came out of 2008 in the lending business that were crazy and it did not make any sense. But there were a lot of rules that were really important and they definitely made sense. And I'm glad they got put in. And I can even remember back in 2005 when they put licensing on my profession. We lost half the competitors the next day because people had felonies. And I'm sorry, if you have a felony, you shouldn't be dealing with somebody's major asset, for most Americans, the largest asset. And I don't really feel bad about that. There's a lot of great things you can do, and having a felony does not make you a bad person. But if you're dealing with someone's finances, you need to be have a different standard. So you're not getting referred to somebody maybe who is a great person, good track record, wonderful experience together. There is a chance that you're being referred to somebody because of a financial relationship, and that pisses me off. It just pisses me off because that's not how it's supposed to be. There's no way that they can say to every customer, because some of them will get the best deal, I'm referring you because you're going to get the best deal. And that pisses me off. If I lose to a competitor because they have a better deal, I don't sleep at night. I'm happy for the customer and I'm glad they got that deal. I'll fight my hardest to earn their business, but if I lose their business because someone gave them a better deal, I can sleep at night. I gave my best deal that I thought was great, and obviously there's profit built into that because we can't go to work for free, but it's a good mix between what I believe is an appropriate amount of profit based on the market at that time and what's a great rate for the customer. There's a little blend there. There's a middle ground, compromise, if you will. But every decision that I'm making is based on what's best for the customer. And there are rules and laws in place to make sure that we treat all of our customers the same and we don't discriminate for any other reason than credit, income, and collateral. But that's not necessarily what's happening in this situation, and it just pisses me off. So I'm going to catch some flack for this. Hopefully my partner doesn't get upset I'm sharing this, but we were both pretty ticked off because that's not a level playing field. That's not a level playing field when it comes to the millions of options you have to choose a real estate agent and the millions of options you had to choose a mortgage lender or a mortgage broker in my case. That's basically somebody weighing in and putting their foot on the scales and saying, well, this is a person that I'd like you to work with because we have a relationship with them. If they were honest, and trust me, there are disclosures that have to be present, but who the hell's going to read those things? If they were honest, most people would say, I appreciate that referral, but I'm just going to shop around and make sure the best deal. If that's what's happening, it's a beautiful thing. I know that when I get referred, I can't assume that someone's going to shop, so I got to give them my best deal. So I don't want to go into a rant status, but that's just something that really pissed me off, and I wanted to share it. Most of the content you're going to get from me is going to be positive and motivating, but it's also some real talk, some real estate real talk that we're doing here, and I appreciate you listening about that topic. Now, on the other hand, let's switch gears. Moving on and trying to wrap this up today. I've got some really amazing podcast guests that I've recorded weeks ago that I'm going to start bringing out. And the YouTube channel is building slowly and organically. And I just want to remind you, there are a couple different parts to my YouTube channel. There's the podcast where you're going to see me talk about whatever's on my mind and sharing what's in the community. You're going to see guests in our community. Little wide ranging sometimes, but it's going to be in the Delmarva, Baltimore area, heavy on Harford County and Baltimore County and Cecil County. And they're going to see the business owners. You're going to see business owners come on, talk about their story and their businesses. We're going to have some mental health issues we're talking about. I've got a couple more guests that are going down that theme of Christian Honig and Morgan Pagels. Hope you guys enjoyed that. And there's there's some really great information I think needs to be given out. But if you're seeing this and you want to be on my podcast and talk about some issues or talk about things in the community, you don't necessarily have to be a business owner. But I'll just ask your patience. So when we record the episode, I've already got some folks recorded. Obviously, I have a day job that helps me keep the lights on. But this is a passion of mine to share information and thoughts with you guys. I'd love to have you on the podcast, and I'd like you to keep listening because there's some really awesome guests coming. I have a coffee shop owner, we have another organization leading towards mental health. I had my first dual guest recording 2 weeks ago. Live for Thomas Foundation. It's going to be fantastic. I have a general counselor coming up for mental health awareness for adults and children. I've already recorded a few business owners that haven't been released yet. Close friend of mine from the sports family has started a business with outdoor turf management. Going to bring them on. I've got so much fun. So I want to thank you for being here today. Hope you enjoy your day. Hope the spring weather is starting. It was pretty crazy. Welcome to spring. And last night was a freaking monsoon. So hopefully that goes great. Didn't mean to offend anybody today with the topics. And then I'll leave you with a small political thought. Don't pay attention to some of the news things that are out there and let it ruin your day. And do not let anything you read on TV decide who you choose a relationship with. It's just not worth it. These national and geopolitics, they're interesting. I do believe in being informed, but do not let these things choose who you choose to spend your time with. It doesn't matter. If you're with somebody because you're with sports or you're with connected community members and that person needs help, you're not going to not help them because you guys didn't vote the same. If someone's on the side of the street and you know them and you drive by and they wave you down because they need help, you're not going to keep driving, honestly. There's no way because you know who they voted for. You're going to help them because you're a good person. If those things are true, why does it matter at that point? So share your views. Discourse is important, but please don't end relationships or change relationships based on something you see on TV. It's just not worth it, guys. Thanks for being connected to the web. It is March 21st, 2025. And I'll see you again in 2 weeks. Next week, I've got an awesome podcast I'm releasing. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.